Also on a jerk bait, a lot of times you can take the split ring or the snap off of a jerk bait and tie a loop knot, and it creates better action. I know it's almost dark, but sometimes a loop knot is a knot that really can help you in fishing. I like to use a loop knot a lot of times when I'm crappie fishing with a jig. I like to use a loop knot on a jig when I'm bass fishing because it'll give my jig a little bit more swing. It'll give it just a little bit more action. And sometimes that little bit extra action means getting a bite and not getting a bite. Now, a loop knot is not a pure 100% knot. It's not like a Jimmy Houston knot, but it's about 75%. If you put it on one of our old Berkeley trilene line testing machines, you can pull that knot through and it'll come through at about 70–75%, sometimes 80. On a loop knot, you want to run the line through the eye of the hook just one time, not double like we do on a Jimmy Houston knot. I got 20-pound braid on here. I don't know if it'll go through that eye very easily or not. Yeah, I got it through there. You want to run it through just one time like this. I'll simply run the bait through the eye of the hook one time, and I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna make a loop around my hand. Pretty good sized loop around my hand. I made a small loop there. Like I'm gonna tie an overhand granny knot. You see, like I'm doing just like an overhand granny knot. I'm gonna rod down here a little bit. So that's all I did, is just like an overhand granny knot. And now I've got two lines there because of that loop. I'm gonna take my jig, I'm gonna run it through that loop once, through that loop twice. Now, in doing that, now I do this sometimes on a crankbait if you're not using a snap or a split ring on it. But I run that through there twice, and now I've got this situation here. So I want to put my thumb down close to it because it's going to determine the size of my loop. And as I tighten everything up, I want that loop to be relatively small. So as I tighten everything up, I've got a relatively small loop right there. Now, get that tightened down. You can see I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. We'll go ahead and cut that off. You can see now that I've got a loop. You see my loop right there? Now I can have that loop a little bit smaller, but what that allows is it allows more freedom on that. It allows that bait to move now. Throwing a small crankbait like a little square bill, if it doesn't have a little tiny split ring or a snap on it, you want to tie a loop knot on those too. Also on a jerk bait, a lot of times you can take the split ring or the snap off of a jerk bait and tie a loop knot, and it creates better action because you don't have that little extra weight up there in the front of it. Now, if you're going to tie it on a jerk bait that's 4, 5, 6 inches long, you're going to have to make a pretty good sized loop around your finger, around your hand, that you're going to run that through. So that's exactly how you want to tie a loop knot. Crappie jigs, bass jigs, sometimes that loop will create more fish.